to come on and see us, right?
Oh,
We
you
love
said
serving
come
pizza.
on and see you. Okay.
Yeah,
And you're there in the
I got this.
afternoons, right?
I got my little headset in, so it probably doesn't work. It feels like there's a delay today with this headset, so I have to figure out
Oh,
how to compensate for that.
oh, I see. Well, I can hear you just fine.
Okay.
So, talk to me about barbecue safety and,
Barbecue
going into
safety.
summer.
Okay.
What are your tips on barbecue safety?
Yeah, this is something that's really important. I want to split the discussion into two parts, right?
Mhm.
Whenever we have these safety discussions, we got to take them really seriously because a lot of good people get hurt, right, this time of year because they're not paying attention to what they're doing, right? So there's two
Mhm.
categories. One, we're going to talk about food safety, right, and the other ones we're going to talk about pit and grill safety, right, because both can kill you, all right, if you're not careful. And I'm a little bit stronger on those because people do get hurt and they don't need to get hurt. It's all very preventable, right? So like I said, on food safety, how many people have been to parties, backyard parties, what have you, and it's all really great and fun. Where, you're knocking back a couple beers or what have you, and you're cooking up the burgers, and they're bringing out the potato salads and stuff like that. And they're setting them on the table, and everybody eats and has a good time. And because we're all having a good time, they're not leaving. They're not putting the foods back away after we eat. Right? The people are going to graze, so they leave it out. Really, the things like those potato salads, those coleslaws, macaroni salads, those kinds of things that are going with your barbecue. They've got to stay 40 degrees or below, right, in order for them to not start to get into that zone where bacteria can grow, right? So it's really a very serious thing. The other side of the equation with the meats that whether you're talking hamburgers or whether you're talking fancy smoking meats like I do with your Traegers, whatever. Um, get those meats up, especially beef, up into that 165-degree range minimum. Because
Mhm.
what I see most, not a lot of guys and gals do what I do, right? Where we go in and we cook for 12 hours and, 12, 15 hours and we do this stuff. A lot of folks want to grill that steak. They're going to sear the outside of that steak and they're going to want to eat it medium rare or, I know I got one good friend, he eats all his steak blue rare and it's so dangerous to do that, right? I don't see how they do that, but you want to get it cooked up. A good medium steaks, 145 degrees. Go to the store, get you a little thermometer, right? Sear the outsides. Get those grills um, up to temp. Sear those outsides and just leave them on there just long enough to get those middles up to at least 145 degrees, right? The health department's going to tell you, try to take it to 165 degrees. But when you look at the health department rules and then you look at, the doneness of meat and what people like, right? So there's a little bit of discrepancy in that. So,
Oh,
but
got you.
right, because they want everything. The health department wants everything well done, right? That's the gist of it.
Mm-hmm.
And many of us don't like it that hot or don't like it that
Sure.
well cooked, right?
Mm-hmm.
We still want the juices, but we want them hot, right? So
Right.
the happy medium for years has been around that 145-degree mark, right, for a nice medium steak. And then you're on your own if you're below that, right? Because
So
depending
how
on
do
how
you
the meats
check
are
for
taken care of.
that? How can you
Temperature.
monitor? I mean, I know what I do with salads is I put them in a bowl of ice. So I double bowl the salad with mayonnaise in it, put a bowl of ice down, and then put the bowl with the salad in it on top of
Exactly.
it. If I know it's going to be in the sun. That's probably from living in Texas and knowing what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so for me, is that just a simple meat thermometer just to check it before you
Simple
serve
food
it, or?
thermometer. Yeah, just a simple food thermometer, right? And let's be realistic, right? With a little bit of effort, a lot of times, the after the main feed cycle, right? You can put it away, right? And then if people are hungry later because it's going to be a long party, bring it back out. You know,
Sure.
that's a lot better than giving all your friends, upset tummies, right?
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Making them
And
sick.
but I see that a lot. So that's on the food safety side, and again, proper temperature on the proper meats, all those things you can find them on the web. I could read them to you, but you know, do those things. I want to get back on the pit safety too, because this time of year, a lot of people are coming. Let's start with the grills, right? A lot of people are coming out with their propane grills and they're firing them up for the first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you know they're safe? right? Those
Right.
bottles have set in those machines under those covers. A lot of people don't know, starting at the beginning with the propane bottle, there's an expiration date on a propane bottle. How many people know that? I don't know, but there's
Oh,
an
wow.
expiration
So
date,
you
and
can't
they
use
do that.
last summer's propane if it's been sitting there all winter.
You use was the bottle legal? Okay, so what happens to the bottle? The bottle sits under pressure, it's under stress, so there's metal fatigue that goes on, with that. But that's kind of a minor problem, I think. The valves are under pressure, the sealants where they screwed the valves in are under pressure. Those things can leak. Okay, and if they leak and you got a fire started above it, guess what happens, right? It all catches on fire all of a sudden, right? So you need to check these bottles, you need to check these gas lines, right? And it's real easy to do. You just take a little spray bottle with a bunch of really soapy water, right, and spray that whole thing down, and with the gas pressure turned on, and if you start seeing bubbles, you got leaks, right? And you can go over here to Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, and go buy a replacement hose or buy a replacement bottle, whatever necessary is. But don't hesitate to do that check, especially this time of year when you're just starting out and you really don't know what the condition of that equipment is.
So
Right?
spray down the propane bottles and the hoses for cleanliness, or
No, no, because it's you want to use a soap. So what happens. You remember when you were a kid blowing bubbles with the little dealy boober, right?
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
you get it out of the bottle and blow, and you make bubbles, right? The same thing happens on a propane hose, right? If it's got a leak somewhere, and gas is leaking out of it, right? It'll just blow a bubble because you sprayed it down with soap.
Oh, got
You know,
it.
so
Okay.
take Dawn dishwashing liquid and some water and just make a really soapy solution and just spray it down, and it'll start making bubbles wherever it's leaking.
Okay. And
So,
so, and you're checking for that for the safety of the environment and the air around you.
well, we're doing that because you don't want that bottle to catch fire, right? You
Okay.
want the gas to run up the hose, and then they've got the proper apparatus up there where the burners are, right? So that it burns safely, right? And what you're doing is you're defeating the engineer if you're letting that bottle leak. It's just not safe,
Got it.
right? So that's
Okay.
we start right there with girls. Huh?
I thought you were going the direction of cleanliness. So you're not. And are you
Not yet.
saying, can you use the propane bottle that's been sitting there all winter as long as it doesn't have a leak?
Yeah, as long
Or
as
do
it
you need
doesn't
to
have a
get
leak.
fresh propane?
No, propane is fine. Propane is just a gas. It'll be fine.
Okay,
Right?
got it.
What we're trying to check is, did the seals on the bottle, on the valves, or all those things in still good working order?
Got it. Okay.
Nothing ruins a good barbecue like a propane bottle blowing up, right?
Yeah, that would not be fun. That would not be a good
Now,
party. Yeah.
but back to your point, let's go to the top of the grill, right? And let's start saying, let's get this stuff cleaned up, right?
Hmm.
Not only the top, because one of the things I also see is gals will pull those covers off those pits, and then they'll fire up and get them hot, um, and then they'll scrape the top, and they're going to go forward, right? But no, when you after they've been sitting all winter, pull those grates off, right? Pull those shields off, wash them, right? Because all those drippings from last year are still down in that pit. Okay, and they can have mold and mold spores and all kinds of things growing down there that you don't want in your burgers, right, or your
Right.
steaks, right? So at least the first time of the year when you get in there, open that stuff up, go look at it, go make sure you don't have a bunch of mold or whatever growing on those greases that fell in there, last fall, right?
Hmm.
Get that stuff out. It doesn't take that long. It's not that hard to do, right?
Hmm.
And it's just a better, safer, cleaner, cleaner environment, and then you're good for the summer, right? Because as you start to use it every weekend, then the stuff doesn't form.
Yeah. So keep your salads cool. Make sure you cook your meat enough, 145 minimum for on the rare side people.
The health
Um,
department says 165.
165 is the health department recommendation.
Right?
Clean up your grills, scrub them clean, get rid of old drippings from last winter.
Yep.
Put some bubbly water, spray down your propane tanks with bubbly water in the tubes, and make sure you check for leaks to make sure your propane tanks are not leaking.
Yeah.
And I would say just replace all that if you need to for a new season. But what else for
Well,
safety
then
for
you get
barbecue?
into the accidents that happen while you're cooking, right? Remember when you're doing hamburgers and basically beef products with a lot or products with a lot of fat in them, whether it's
Hmm.
pork steaks or whether it's beef steaks or what have you that
Hmm.
you're cooking. Um, Pay attention and monitor that because those drippings are going down Whether you're talking about mostly with grills, these kind of things, these drippings are going down there next to where the heat's generated, where the burners are. And everybody has seen hamburgers flare up, right? I mean, I know that you've cooked hamburgers, and
Right.
the grease starts
Yes.
flying everywhere. It gets atomized because the burger's hot, and then it catches on fire. And there's, we call it flame kissing. We actually use it as a cooking technique, right, for flame kissing those burgers and making them really taste awesome, right? But you got to
Mm-hmm.
watch that stuff. You don't want that out of control, right? Because that stuff can get down in there, and if it gets down there in volume, right, then it's burning and it doesn't go out, right? And so you don't want that. And that's how pits catch on, or grills catch on fire a lot. Is they just get too much grease down by the burners and it lights off because it's get past the flash point, and then your whole grill starts getting too hot, and it's a catastrophic effect, right? And so
Yep.
these things burn up. So monitor what you're doing, monitor how that's looking, right? Experienced grillers know how to manage this, but sometimes if you're not the most experienced, that can get away from you pretty quick, right? I'll tell you, when I was starting out, one of the things I would do is I kept me a spray bottle of water close by. So if it ever got to the point where it was getting away from me, I could spray that water in there real quick and close the top, suffocate the flame, right? And then I'd let it cool off for a while before I opened it back up. Right?
Okay. So keep a spray bottle full of water and keep an eye on the flame area of the grill, like down below, right?
Yeah, down below.
And don't let it get overheated. That's a common way that grills catch on fire.
Yep.
So what else about barbecue safety? Anything about the meats or the temperature of the meats when you go to grill them? I mean, obviously you're keeping them cool, but like I know a lot of people will warm up meat to room temperature. Is that a safe
Yeah,
practice?
those things are fine. There are different people I'm sure that would disagree with me, but for the most part, it's not about the temperature; it's about the time it's been exposed to the temperature, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some people like to, they don't want to come out totally cold like on a steak. They want that fat to warm up to room temperature before they go on. That's perfectly fine. You don't want to obviously leave it out overnight. That would be too long.
Right.
But
Bacteria.
an
Yeah.
hour an hour, you cover it in cellophane and put it on a plate and have it sit there on the counter. You're fine, right? I mean, you gotta understand. I mean, there's some people that that do dry aging, in preparation for one of these barbecues, right? And I don't know if you've ever seen dry aging before, but that's where you leave it in the refrigerator over suspended kind of in an air above the plate, right, with a napkin to catch all the juices,
Mhm.
and you leave it in there for a week. You can leave it in there for a month if you wanted to, really.
Hmm.
And what those guys are doing is they're aging the meat, right? And then of course what you do is you take the outside of it turns kind of yucky, so you cut all that stuff off, and then you get this beautiful, very, very soft and tender piece of meat when you do that, right? Basically it's controlled decay when you do that. So there's all these different things. So it's really not about the temperature; it's about the length of time exposed, right? In order to not let those pathogens and things like that start to develop in your food. You know?
So make sure you know what you're doing if you're dry aging meat.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Study that one pretty hard because
Yeah.
yeah, because you are dealing with decay, right? When
Right.
you're far, that's the point of it, right?
Right. You don't want to,
And that's a
again,
fun
you don't
thing.
want to
Maybe
poison
sometime
your
we'll talk
friends.
about
Most people don't want to be at a party and get poisoned or get a stomach ache.
or get
So,
okay.
yeah. So just to
Exactly.
review again, so keep your salads cool with ice, a bowl of ice, or put them in the refrigerator periodically. Make sure your grill is clean. You've scraped up all your old drippings. Make sure you check your propane tanks for leaks. Replace them if you need to. And then, if you're going to dry age meat, make sure you know what you're doing and you read instructions very clearly.
Yep.
Make sure you cook your meat at least to 145. The health department recommends 164 is what I remember. And what else did I learn? What's the other temp? Oh, salads and things with mayonnaise, basically keep them under 40 degrees. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everyone will
Exactly.
have great food and feel good the next day and not be
Great.
sick from your food, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really, it's all
perfect.
about common sense, right? And I know that
It is.
everybody probably knows this stuff, but it helps to talk about it at least once a year, right? And
It does.
you never know what you might forget.
Yeah, I'm amazed a lot of times being at parties where I see foods put out that don't have any cooling underneath them. It's just bacon in the sun, and people are coming along and eating that stuff, and it's just like, oh wow, that's
Yeah.
not good news.
Especially
Yeah,
those spinach dips, right? That you graze on throughout the day, right? And,
right.
you kind of move the
Nasty.
little crusty part to the side because it's been outside for a while, and then you kind of
Yeah.
go underneath, and we've all done it.
Yeah, not good. So, okay, well, thanks for the safety tips, and good to hear your two restaurants are buzzing along. I know that you wanted to close with some comments about the market. I know there's some insane food chain things going on for restaurant owners. So, just to give you a
Yeah,
chance to bark about that, what are your comments on that?
yeah, really. Woof, woof. Yeah,
Hmm.
things are really. I think I want to make this a regular segment, so let's just put that in our notes because the public doesn't get to see what restaurant owners like myself see, right?
Hmm.
And I still believe the positive statement I made in our last chat, right? That this is all about reopening. There's just so many problems. But what the effect of those problems are is food shortages, right? And because there's shortages in food, demand's going up, right? Because everybody's trying to open. There's only a limited supply. Inflation hits us right between the eyes. So, I mean, in each of my restaurants today, we're running around constantly trying to fill gaps because the food suppliers don't have certain products. Okay. Um, and they're staples on these menus. And so restaurant owners are struggling to try to keep the menu going. So if you get into
Hmm.
a restaurant and they don't have your favorite thing today, don't beat them up. I mean, it's I can tell you as an experienced operator, right? It's impossible to keep 100% of these large menus active right now because things are just disappearing on us and we don't get any warning. They just wake up one day and your reps and stuff are calling you going, we ain't gonna have it for a month. Get over it, right?
Yeah, I was in a
And
sandwich shop yesterday, and they had one kind of cheese.
yeah,
It wasn't Subway, but something similar. And it was like they had no, I couldn't believe it. And he said it like it was just like commonplace news. And I was shocked. But I thought of you and what you've said about the food chain and how there are some things that you're just not able to get.
yeah,
Either is it because it's cost prohibitive or it's just simply not available?
both. I think some people, some operators are just on absolute shoestring budgets to stay open, and
Hmm.
they're having to make hard choices because they just can't afford. Because I'll take brisket for example. We talk about brisket a lot on this
Hmm.
on this on this stream, and just in the last, I don't know, 45 days, we've
Hmm.
gone up over 250 a pound. So the price of brisket has doubled coming into my back door, right? And I was just talking to another barbecue joint that's our buddy, that we partner up with a lot. They've already raised their menu prices. They've gone from 22 a pound to 26 a pound on their menu to try to compensate, right?
Wow. That's a chunk
Okay,
more than you charge. Wow.
yeah, that's a chunk more.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to tell the world I've got to do it too. I just can't absorb all this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one meat, right? The pork shoulders are up probably 20%. That's that good pulled pork and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
40 pounds of I use a lot of chicken thighs, right, at the store. We also use the same chicken thighs here for the pizza as well. They've moved from $43, basically $1 a pound, or $43 for a 40-pound box, to $73 in the last 40 days or so. Okay. And they're
Wow.
citing all kinds of things, and how this all ties back is you have all this demand happening because all these restaurants are trying to open back up. Like the chicken farmers, the beef processing plants, they just don't have the employees, right? That's part of it. The
Mm-hmm.
other one that's going on, and this is why it's a domino effect. Okay, it's a domino effect. So what does that mean, Gary? Well, what do these animals eat? Okay, they eat corn, they eat sorghum, they eat soybean. Um, the national supply of those things is becoming depleted
Mm-hmm.
because we're not putting anything back in, because that whole
Right.
the whole side of the growing, harvesting, that kind of stuff, that takes a while, right, to get it restarted again. So
Mm-hmm.
when you look at this long chain from everything from the animal feed to the processing of the animals, to how the animals get prepped, so that we can buy the ingredients we need for our restaurants. The whole chain is broken. And because the demand is so high, it drives prices really high because we all have to compete. The best price wins. This is capitalism, right? So,
Right.
and so you have those two problems. It's a teeter-totter. In some cases, you've just given up, right? The suppliers to say you just gotta have to hold on while we figure out how to get things back in gear, and that's your things that are disappearing on you, right? Um, and
So
then
have
you have
you
the other
removed
side.
anything from the menu?
I haven't yet. I'm pretty resourceful when it comes to how to build redundancy into supply chains, and so far that's paid off on me. But there are days because I'm limited on how much I can get. And I know that I mean, I had some customers in our store one Sunday, not last week because that was Mother's Day, but the week before, and they were really frustrated because they walked in at 7:30. They expected a full menu to be available, and it's just not there. We've sold everything that we could sell for that week. Okay, and the delivery truck comes on Monday where we begin again, right?
Yeah.
And
What is your
and
brisket
so
price today? Is it, I know it used to be 19. What is it today?
no, it's we're right at $20.99 or $21 right now, but that's
Yeah,
not
so
going to
it hasn't
last.
gone up. It hasn't gone
It
up very
hasn't
much.
gone up.
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure out if this is a spike or whether this is going to last. Right. And because the worst thing a restaurant operator wants to do is you don't want to go in and pop a menu, up 10%. And then all of a sudden, all the food costs and all these problems go away. And then, now you're kind of not being fair to the consumer. And I'm a very fair-minded kind of operator. Right. And believe me, once things go up, they don't ever come down. Right. I don't care how good you are. Right.
Right.
So I take raising prices really seriously, right? I don't do it unless we just absolutely have to. I mean, I'm a business guy. I have to make a living. On the other side, I don't like gouging people either. So we're
Right.
trying to make barbecue in the Northwest, the same as it is in the South, which is that place you can come and trust and build that community around, right? That good food, right? And so you don't do that by gouging folks that come in. Maybe I'm using too strong of a word with gouge. You can help me with a better one, but
Well,
but you have
it's
to do
hard.
it.
It's hard
But
when
understand, you
you're
have to
used.
do what you have to do.
It's hard when you have your favorite restaurant and all of a sudden, and you're feeding your family for a certain amount of money, and all of a sudden it's $10 more or whatever. And I think it's it's interesting that you haven't had to raise. I'm sure you're making cuts in other places where it's not affecting the public, but you haven't had to raise brisket prices that much yet, so that's good. It's great.
Yep.
Probably sounds like we might see a slight increase going into the summer.
Yep. I'm working. I'm going to tell you up front. I'm working on it for all my listeners out there. I hope I got to do what I got to do, right? And so me and the managers, we're working on it to try to figure out how much is just enough, and then we'll make do.
Yeah, but I think it's just good to remind people to be kind to restaurant owners and know that they're facing the pressures of a crazy food chain situation and pricing, and they're putting as much on the menu as they can and just try and be flexible with the things that you're ordering. So, well, thanks, Gary. It was good to speak with you about barbecue safety. I'm sure if anybody has any questions or comments, you can leave them below. And thanks for the update about the food chain. Not the funnest topic, but it's good to kind of put reality out there of what's going on and how this COVID thing is still affecting all of us, right? So take care. We'll be talking to you next month. So happy barbecuing, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.